you that in the Rockets OKC Game 7, Lou Dort would score 30 points while James Harden would get the game-saving block? Would you believe me, or would you tell me that I'm crazy?
I'd probably tell you you're on something and you need to stop it.
Well, it happened. So, hey, welcome to the 3&D podcast. Appreciate you guys joining us today. I say today, but it's tonight right now, a Friday night at 8:30 for me and Wayne. Wayne, do you know how much I love you? Just go ahead and ask me.
Drew, how much do you love me?
I love you so much that I am sacrificing watching game 1 of the Lakers and Rockets right now so that we can accomplish actually capturing an episode.
Hey, it's prime time, bro, because you said your kid's asleep now. So you got to get some stuff done while he's down.
It's the best time to do it. Some things just call for great sacrifices.
It's okay. Uncle Ben from Spider-Man knows.
Yeah, that's right. So just to fill you guys in, me and Wayne have had an interesting last week and a half or two. We've actually recorded 4 episodes, and Zoom has absolutely infuriated us and made us so mad because we recorded some great episodes and they did not capture on Zoom, even though we recorded it. So this episode is not sponsored by Zoom, nor will it ever be, but we're hoping that it works tonight. So fingers crossed.
Hey, Zoom, if you're listening, you got to fix your app, bro. Come on now. We got to be better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's with the updates or what it is, but hopefully it works tonight. So let's get into it. Wayne, since the last time we've had an episode, there's been a lot that's happened. We really haven't even covered, even the whole first round of the playoffs. So today we're just going to accomplish a few things. We want to talk about the good things that happened in the first round. And we also want to talk about, we just want to mention briefly, in the first round with the Bucks and the Magic, there was a boycott that occurred with the Bucks. And Wayne, I'm going to ask you to say the guy's name before I butcher it, but the one who got shot by the police.
Oh, Jacob Blake.
Thank you. Jacob Blake was shot 7 times, point blank in the back, by a Kenosha police officer. And this, when the NBA players came to the bubble, it was to accomplish ending the season the right way, but it was also an initiative for the players to bring to light some social justice issues. So when this happened, it was kind of almost the tipping point for the players. They decided not to play and eventually came out and said, hey, you know what, we're going to go ahead and finish off the season. But Wayne, I know we had a big, long discussion about this, but given the nature of everything that's happened on the technology side, I just want you to kind of briefly give me your thoughts and maybe give me your hope beyond this situation, not just for basketball, but just for the world in general.
Yeah. So I feel like that was what they did with boycotting the games was the right idea. It definitely sparked some talks. It sparked some action. They even called the governor of, was it Washington? Something. They called the governor of Wisconsin, whoever, I don't know. And started actually making those or trying to make those changes and trying to get connected with the right people. So I thought that was pretty cool. And they decided to resume playing basketball, which is fine. But it's about that time. It's about time that when things like this happen, we have to try and make sure that we put in place the right systems or change things around to make sure that stuff like this doesn't happen again. So I think with the NBA helping, and as big as the NBA's platform is, it goes worldwide, it's ridiculous. So I think what the NBA did by boycotting the games and stuff like that really sparked some interest and really got people to think about what's actually happening. Even though there are people out there who are like, I'm not watching the NBA because they're doing all this stuff and XYZ. The NBA's ratings were still skyrocketing. So with that being said, them using their platform, them using just using themselves, using their brains and actually thinking about a tactical way to go about this instead of reacting on emotion, they actually sat down and thought about it and planned it and came up with the best solution for them. So I got nothing but love for it. I'm gonna keep watching the NBA. As far as what's going on in the country, like we're going through some stuff. 2020 is just throwing left and right hooks at us from everywhere, and I guess we're just gonna have to take it on the chin and move on. So I look at this stuff as just another way for us to come together and really realize that even though everybody looks different, we're all one race. We're all a human race, and we all got to look after each other. So that's my hope and my wish for 2020 is that we would come together and develop some more compassion and empathy for our fellow man and you know, get to that American dream level, because I don't think we're there yet because we got so much stuff to get through and get rid of. So I really want us to come together and get to that part where people can look at America and say, not only is America, land of dreams and opportunity and stuff like that, but there's people in that country or like everybody in that country will help you accomplish those things and come together and just help people instead of tearing them down, no matter what your race is, political view is, whatever. It doesn't matter. Religion, like we're all humans. So it doesn't matter what you believe in as far as religion or politics or even what you like for breakfast. Like it doesn't matter. Like just treat each other with kindness and see how far this country will go. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it there. Black Mamba out, you know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah,
kidding.
hopefully
I'm
not
not
out.
Kobe. I'm not Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe. I love you.
R.I.P. Kobe. No, that was well said though. I think, and I've told you this multiple times because we've done this conversation literally 2 times full length. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think I've told you, I think the best thing that has come out of this year in terms of the social justice and the race and the police brutality issue going on, um, eh, to me, it's just the conversation of race, even if it's uncomfortable or even if it's maybe it maybe it's uncomfortable for people, just the fact that we're willing to start having a conversation about these things to me is at least a step in the right direction, because if we're not willing to sit down and have civil discussions about things and we're more interested in pointing out why people are wrong or why they shouldn't feel the way they feel, to me that's a step backwards. And so I think the willingness to have the conversation is the best thing that could be happening right now. And my biggest hope and something that I'm trying to practice personally is just to to not to have like I said earlier, to not have a conversation and immediately want to point out the flaw in what that person said or discredit how they're feeling because it doesn't align with how I feel or it doesn't align with experiences that I've had before. So I think we could learn a lot when it comes to empathy in this world. And, I thought the NBA did a great job. The players did a great job at showing what they're passionate about and what they care about and the change that they want to make. And on a selfish matter, I'm glad that they continued the season,
Hmm.
but it could have completely been in their right to stop it. And honestly, I wouldn't have had a lot of argument to that because it would have been justified just as much.
Exactly.
So, anyways, I'm glad that we're starting to see some change, and obviously, our biggest hope is that, like you said, Wayne, just that we would start all seeing each other as one race. That we would do. I think you said the other night when we tried recording our podcast, just that, hey, I want you to get home to your family safe at night, and
Hmm.
on the other side, I want you to get home to your family safe at night. So whatever we can do to make that happen, let's do it. So, anyways, let's get on to some basketball here. First, I just wanted to point this out. Almost all of the awards, Wayne, have been handed out from the regular season. So I just want to list them out real quick. Giannis received the Defensive Player of the Year award, which we were kind of going, is it going to be Giannis or Anthony Davis?
Yep.
Giannis ended up with it. So, he's that's a pretty elite thing to receive. Not only did he win MVP last year, but he follows it up with winning Defensive Player of the Year, and more than likely he's going to receive in the next coming days the MVP award, which is incredible. Only two other guys, Wayne, and I'm gonna ask you which two other guys
Oh
have
goodness.
received the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year award in the same season, like we believe Giannis is fixing to do.
Uh, Dang. My basketball knowledge is not as good. as I'd like it to be.
I'll give you a
But
hint. It's some players from the '90s, and both these players on both of their respective teams won championships in that decade.
all right, is Michael Jordan one of them?
That's one. He's won a Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in 1 year in the same season. And who's the other?
Dang. Okay, MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Oh,
Think local.
local,
Local.
local.
Come on now. I'm really helping you out here. Championships, local.
Dang, bro, what the heck? I don't, because I'm trying to. You said local. I'm thinking Houston,
I'm talking Houston right now.
bro. Who?
When the Rock,
wait. Was this during whenever because the Rockets won?
94, 95. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Who was the go-to guy? Do not fail me here. You are about to fail me. I'm about to be so
I'm
mad.
gonna say a name, and I look. It was the first name that I thought of, and I had to make sure. And he said local, and I doubled down on it. But I'm gonna say this: if you're listening and you're from Houston, look, I'm sorry. I did. I'm just gonna say I'm sorry. Okay. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. If it's right, I'm still sorry because it took me this
God,
long.
help us all.
Is it that man, that bad man, Hakeem Olajuwon?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Jesus.
Okay.
Oh my Lord. Oh, if you would have gotten that wrong, I would have been so upset.
So like I thought of that. I thought of it at first, and I was like, "Nah, that can't be it." And so I went with Michael first because I was like, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be wrong. And he said Logan. I'm like, dang, I gotta say it. There it is.
Well,
Still sorry.
there's also been two other players in history that have not won it in the same season, but in their career they've won an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year. One of them was a Spurs legend. David Robinson has done that, and then
Hey.
also Kevin Garnett did that with the Timberwolves.
Oh dang,
So, or
KG.
actually, I think he might have won Defensive Player with the Celtics and MVP with the Timberwolves. I can't remember, but anyways, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's no argument here, right, Wayne, that Giannis is pretty much the clear-cut favorite to win the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, people have been trying to argue LeBron, which, of course, you can try and argue LeBron like every year, but
He's going to get some votes, but he's not going to
Gian-
win it
Giannis got to take this one, man. He got to.
for sure. We'll find that out in the coming days. Rookie of the Year, John Morant. I
Hey,
think it was a 99-1 vote. So
and whoever that one,
one person did it for Zion.
bro, whoever that one person is, you got to meet me outside, bro. Come on.
I
We got to
think
talk.
I think John Morant wants to meet him outside too. He was because I saw him on Twitter. Like, I want to know who it is. Like, honestly, just
Yes.
give me the name so I can reach out to him.
Yeah, got to talk. We got to have a Zoom meeting. Come on, bro. What's going on? Why?
Yeah. Congrats to John Morant on winning the Rookie of the Year award. Nick Nurse won the Coach of the Year award. I know we talked about him a little bit.
Hey, that boy Nursey.
Yeah, and he received the award through the TNT program, and they brought on his high school coach to basically introduce him to the award, which I thought was really cool. I don't know the name of the guy, but a really old dude who used to coach Nick Nurse, giving him the Coach of the Year award. So that was really
Wow,
special.
that's cool.
And then today they announced Montrezl Harrell won the Sixth Man of the Award, which honestly kind of surprised me a little bit.
I did not know that. Hold up, Montrez.
That was only like a couple hours ago, dude.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Lou Williams, who's won it like 3 times, walked in to Montrezl Harrell with the award with the whole team around, and they congratulated him and everything. So that was really cool to see.
Oh, that's dope.
I thought it was going to be Dennis Schroeder. I think we talked about this. We were making our
Yeah, we
guesses.
did.
I mean, you could have given it to Schroeder just as much as you could have given it to, really Lou Williams or Trez. I mean, that was real tight all the way across. But,
Mm-hmm.
Montrez is averaging 18 and 7 this year, coming off the bench for. I think what really eclipsed him above Schroeder is the fact that the Clippers are in the 2 seed, and then OKC was in the 4 seed. So I think just that little bump, gave him the edge. So congrats to him.
Yep.
And then lastly, Brandon Ingram, most improved player. I think
Yeah.
that wasn't this your choice, Wayne?
I don't remember. I think it might have been. Was that your choice?
I don't think so. I think I chose. It was either it was Bam or Tatum or someone. I can't
Oh
even
yeah,
remember. It
I think
was
you
it
did
was
say
weeks
Bam out
ago.
loud.
But there's not much you can argue here either. I mean, you could say between him and Bam, but this dude took a major scoring increase in going from LA to New Orleans. You would think
Hmm.
his confidence would dip, being that he went away from that market, playing with a great team under LeBron. But I think we really saw this year when you give him the ball and everybody else gets out the way, you really can see what this guy can do.
Yeah.
So congrats to all those guys. We'll find out MVP later in the year. Wayne, the
Yes, sir.
first round of the NBA playoffs were pretty exciting. The reason we're only going to talk about a few teams is honestly, I don't want to talk about the Nets and the Raptors. I'm sorry if there's any Nets fans listening. It was just not very exciting. Honestly, the whole Eastern Conference first round was not super entertaining. You had the Bucks and the Magic, the Nets and the Raptors. It was a sweep for the Heat versus Indiana, which I really didn't expect. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive there. And then you had an injured Sixers team facing the Celtics. So the Western Conference was a bit more exciting, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, for sure. I mean, what just by the Nuggets and the um Jazz alone, like that was it for me. I'm good
Yes, yeah.
after
So
after that.
let's start there. What did you think of that battle between Murray and Mitchell? I mean, both of these dudes, it felt like we had a 50 piece almost every game of that 7 game series. Maybe not the
Yeah.
last game, but through 6 games, it was like, who's going to go off tonight?
Yeah, and then sometimes they both went off, and it was just like, all right, cool, just give them the ball. They're both the hot hand. It don't matter. Let them bring it down the court, saw somebody up, hit a three, drive it. Don't matter. Just let them do what they do. But that series, like, I mean, when you talk about mano y mano, like me versus you, I mean, yeah, I got a team around me, but like I'm looking at you right now. Like I want the ball, and I'm coming at you.
Right.
That series was amazing.
I really
Just
don't
seeing,
think I don't think anybody had Jamal Murray on their radar for being the
heck no.
guy in that series. I mean, I thought it was going to be Jokic pretty much the whole time, but and he was coming off like a quad injury or sore quad or something, even when they first arrived in the bubble. So I really didn't expect that out of Murray, but he showcased that he can be the number one guy if you give him the chance. And I think we talked about this the other night, Wayne, but both of these dudes are about 23 years old, give or take. Who are you going to start a franchise with if you really had to choose between those two guys? I mean, you can't make a real bad choice, but if you had to choose one, who would you go with?
I'm going with Jamal Murray. That's I mean it's not that easy, but I'm just picking Jamal Murray. I mean, you can make a case for Donovan Mitchell because I mean they were saying like Donovan Mitchell is pretty much Dwayne Wade 2.0, which I completely agree. He looks just like Dwayne Wade in some ways. So yeah, but if I'm starting a team and I want to put pieces around, I'm going with Jamal Murray because I feel like he's um like even when he's struggling scoring, he still can get the ball moving, get the ball down the court, and find open man and do that kind of stuff. So I'm going with Jamal Murray over Donovan Mitchell.
It feels like the Nuggets run pick and roll more than any other team, especially between Murray and Jokic. It's like every time they come
Dude,
down for an offensive set, you know it's going to happen. And the funny thing is, even you knowing it's going to happen, it's still really effective. And so I,
yeah,
I don't know how you stop that all the time, especially with a big like Jokic who can pick and pop too. I mean, he doesn't have to just drive to the rim, and I mean most of the time he's not doing that. And with Jokic also being a facilitator, it's like if you pick and pop to him, he can also make the extra pass. He doesn't have to stop there and think if he's going to shoot it or drive in. He has other options too. But I got to agree with you as well because I think I heard someone say it's like Murray is like the Canadian Curry. I guess he was born in Canada, but just the way he kind of weaves in and out of the lane and finds a spot beyond the 3 point line is really Curry esque. Now I'm not saying he's Steph Curry, of course, but he definitely showed some flashes in this series and showed that he can score the ball at a high clip. So the Nuggets and the Jazz having those two guys at the age that they're at have something really special to look forward to. And really, the whole league, I feel like right now, there's just a plethora of really young dudes that are already stars, right?
hmm They ready to go out there and get hungry and finish these games out, man. So the rest of like the NBA, we're in good hands for like a while. Like we all know LeBron's getting old, but we're in good hands for a good amount of time. I mean, even John Morant, Zion Williamson, uh, even the guys over in the Heat, Harrow, even Rui Hachimura on the Wizards. Like I love the way he plays. He's just on a a not so good team right now, but even him. So the league is gonna be fine
Yeah.
as far as talent for the next I don't even know how many years. We're good. We chilling.
Yeah, even 4 years ago, the pinnacle was like Harden, Curry, KD, LeBron, all these dudes who, I mean, really, they're still up there, but
Hmm.
you're not fearful that those guys are going to drop off because you have the other ones on the come up, like Tatum, Brown,
Oh, Trey Young, Luka
Mitchell.
Doncic, like what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good segue there, Wayne. Let's talk about Clippers and Dallas real quick because this was a series. I'm talking
Yes.
a lot of people thought this was going to be a 4 or 5 game series, but it ended up being 6 games with the Clippers uh, coming out victorious. But let's talk about Luka Doncic real quick. Just give me your assessment of this guy because he has really since last year taken the league by storm, and this year just went crazy, absolutely crazy, including that game winner buzzer beater over who was it, Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson. So I said this before, even on the podcast or the episode that didn't get recorded or got recorded and then got lost. Um, but when Luka Doncic said that it was easier playing in the NBA than it was playing overseas, I knew it was over. I knew he came over here with bad intentions, and we're seeing those bad intentions right now. He wants to just completely push everyone out of the way. Any team that's in his way, he's like, "Look, I'll take you 1-on-5 if I got to. It doesn't matter because all he's gonna do is step back and hit a shot over every single one of y'all, and it's gonna go in. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
I mean, he's not the greatest 3-point shooter, but when he steps back, it reminds you of Harden. It reminds like the dude just has it in the bag. He's just dipping into his bag every game and seeing what he pulls out is amazing. Like I Luka Doncic, if you're listening, bro, you got my support. I love you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, man. But yeah, Luka in that series was ridiculous. And honestly, if it wasn't for like, Kawhi just sneakily having those 30-point games and then Paul George, even though he struggled in the beginning, having that one game where he kind of like excelled and took over, the Dallas Mavericks could have taken that series easily.
oh yeah,
But Kawhi just came in real sneaky, like he always does, that robotic style of play. Came in, did his thing, and that's pretty much why they lost. But shout out to Luca, man.
yeah.
Did his thing out there.
Luka looked incredible. Dallas has nothing to worry about. I mean, to give a team that has title aspirations this year, who everybody had going, it's either going to be the Clippers or the Lakers. To push them to 6 games really says a lot about your team, even with a 21-year-old kid really leading the way. So they got a lot to look forward to. But you mentioned Kawhi too. Listen, he's got to be the best player in the bubble right now. I mean,
Hey,
and you
listen,
said going
that's my
under the
dude.
radar too. Like he is to me the best player. He can get to any spot on the floor he wants to, and the mid-range game is not dead. I mean, he's bringing it on the defensive end and the offensive end, but he looks great, and if he looks good and healthy, the rest of the league should be really scared right now because especially in a setting like this, Kawhi doesn't care if any fans are in attendance. He definitely doesn't care if any fans are or not. He's just going to ball out the way he knows how to, and he's really shown it to this point.
Yeah, man. That's if y'all don't know, Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player in the league. Even though he did my Spurs kind of dirty, I love that man. I love watching him play. So to see him go out there and just ball out, like, and it's ridiculous watching him play and watching how simple his moves are, but they're just so effective. Like you can tell he put a lot of time into each move and he knows what he's doing. And so even when it looks crazy and like he's flailing or whatever and he's putting up a random hook shot that looks bad, but then it goes in, he probably practices that.
Right.
So Kawhi, keep doing what you're doing, bro. That's why
So
that's my favorite.
so when I saw this tweet today, and it was something like Bleacher Report had posted it, and there was all these highlights from the bubble, and it was something like Doc Rivers has been running the same sets that he ran for Paul Pierce during the Celtics days to get him wide open mid-range shots. He's doing that same thing for Kawhi. I was like, okay. So I watched the video. Literally, there's one out of like 11 of the clips that they showed where it was him actually having a wide open mid-range jumper. All the rest were contested, or like he really had to get it in there and like will it through. It was the most confusing tweet I've ever seen. I'm like, this is really bad marketing. You're like, you would expect every shot for him to be wide open and get a mid-range shot, but it was just really confusing. But anyways, I digress. And Kawhi doing all this with Paul George being a shell of himself. I mean, Paul George looked absolutely horrible and making all these weird comments post-game about how, he doesn't feel like himself. And then another game, he's got an ice pack on his shoulder during the press conference, almost to say like I'm not going to talk about this, but I want you to see, like, I'm not just playing bad for nothing. Like, my shoulder hurts. I don't know what it is, but I have to say this. I think Basketball Reference made it official. Fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure I saw it, that one of the nicknames for Paul George on Basketball Reference is Pandemic P.
What?
Yeah, because you got like Playoff P and all these other ones. I'm pretty positive. Fact check me on this, someone, that we got Pandemic P up in the nicknames.
Hold on 1 second. I got it. Pandemic P.
Yep,
bro, that's tough, man.
That's how bad he's been playing.
You know how bad you gotta be for them to put a pandemic in your name? Like, come on.
Hey, he's on a whole nother level for a really bad reason. Yeah, depending on the day, he's either playoff P or pandemic P. But right now, we got pandemic P.
Hold on. Okay, I see PG-13, Young Trece. Oh, okay. Batman. Who calls him Batman?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't see pandemic P. I see playoff P.
I could have swore somebody posted that today. Well, anyways, even if it's not there, it should be.
I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add it.
Yes, I wish Basketball Reference was like Wikipedia. You could just type in your own information and make it official.
Yeah. Bro,
All right.
funny.
Yeah, so that was a great series. And by the way, Marcus Morris is a dog. I mean, he made some dirty plays to Luka and stuff like that. But, you kind of want, no matter how much you didn't like what he did, you want a dude like that on your team. I mean, you thought it was Pat Bev too, but he really stepped up to the plate as well and showed that he can be just as chippy. And I think, especially for Doc Rivers, Doc wants guys like that on his team. And me and you talked about it, Wayne, how this offseason they need to surround Luka with some really scrappy veterans. We were like, why not?
Yeah, why not go after him?
Yeah, I mean, he's on a 1-year contract that the Knicks put him through, and then they traded him to the Clippers. I mean, why not give him a shot in free agency? I don't know if you could make it work between him and Luka, given all the history at this point. But, I mean, hey, the dude can score, and if he's on your side, it's a lot better.
Yeah. If he's on your team and he's going out there and taking out the best player on the other team, like, that's all I could ask for is you go handle that work so we can go over here and score. I don't mean take him out as in, like, take him out. I just mean, be a pest, get in his grill a little bit. So especially if the Lakers end up playing the Clippers, that's going to be a good thing for them to match up him with, like, maybe LeBron. He's not going to defend him amazingly, but just to be that kind of a pest, be in his face no matter what.
Yeah, but think about how many guys are able to switch off onto LeBron in that series. You got Morris, Kawhi, and PG all can switch off onto him. So that's going to be scary if they end up facing them.
And even Montrez, if he's in.
Yeah, Montrez too. I mean, but out of those 4 guys, they would take, LeBron would take Montrez any day out of the other 3.
For sure.
So, okay, this is the one I really, really want to talk about right now because I want to talk about Houston. OKC, good Lord, almost had a panic attack the other night.
Hey, did you see the tweet, bro? They were like,
there was a lot of tweets. Which one?
It was the one. It was like, so the Rockets games don't get showed in China because of what Daryl Morey said earlier in the season.
I didn't see that, but
and so they were like, okay, the Rockets games don't get showed in China. If the Rockets win, they play the Lakers. the Lakers have a big presence in China, and so then they were saying it's Game 7, and they brought in Scott Foster to be the ref, who we all know is like the Rockets' killer when it comes to refs. And so I was like, yo, are they really about to go out here and plan for the Rockets to lose by putting Scott Foster in the lineup, bro?
It feels so planned, right? Because it's not only James Harden and it's not just James Harden, it's Chris Paul too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the pendulum didn't really swing to either side because both teams were at a disadvantage because both Harden and Paul have beef with Scott Foster.
Yeah, bro. And it was just watching Scott, because like I didn't want to believe it, bro. I did not want to believe it. But then when he makes a call from the other side of the court, I'm like, how did you see that? How, Scott? How? Please tell me how you saw that. Do you have like some like I don't even understand, bro. But it was funny, man. And
Yeah,
they won by like what, 1 point, 2 points,
1 or
2 points.
2 points. I can't remember, but it was certainly a game. And those last 2 minutes, man. I mean, I was texting you that night. You remember I was going,
Yeah.
bro. And when I was texting you, I was literally standing up in front of my TV in the living room all by myself, like silently screaming because I have a child sleeping. But I was like, oh, what's happening right now? I was getting heated, bro. But this series was all it was cracked up to be to have a 4-5 seed. I mean, it lived up to it. And just the storyline of this, to have Chris Paul traded for Russell Westbrook in the offseason and to have those two teams end up facing each other, it was,
Mm-hmm.
again, all it was made out to be. But, I mean, let's just talk about those last 2 minutes for a second. You had, I can't remember the exact score, but I know that the Rockets, I think it was like 6 or 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, CP3 went silent. There was
Mm-hmm.
nothing left from him. Like he had a couple shots before them, but those last 8 to 6 minutes, he did nothing. But OKC held on, and coming down the stretch, do you remember when the Rockets got the rebound? They were going past half court, and Eric Gordon kind of gets trapped right at half court by CP3, but CP3 flops like right
Yo,
away, and
I
then
saw that.
right, and then Eric Gordon turns it over. And at this point, literally my heart is outside of my body. I can see it on the floor. I'm like, this is what happens in Houston sports. This is what happens all the time. Oh my goodness. But so coming back on the other end, they got to set it up. CP3 moves it around. I think Shea kicks it over to Lou Dort, who at this point, listen, we said this at the beginning of the podcast. Who expected this dude to be an elite company like Michael Jordan and who was it? LeBron James and Michael Jordan to be the only rookies to score 30 plus in a game 7. Like, come on, man. Lou Dort out of all
Yeah,
people.
Lou stinking Dort. Add
But
that to the history books, bro. Dort.
Dort, exactly.
I'm
I mean,
sorry, man.
Wayne, me and you saw this dude live and in person, but he wasn't doing this stuff.
No, he was not. Not
But
even close.
he had about 6 threes up to this point when they swung it to him. And when you have 6 threes in a game 7, listen, the whole game they were leaving him wide open because it was kind of a pick your poison kind of thing. If we're going to leave one dude open, it's going to be him. But at that point, it was like, you got to rotate. Somebody's got to close out on him. And who closes out on this man? Tell me. Just say his name.
I'm going to say it. It's the beard.
James Harden comes out and blocks his shot on the 3-point line to save the game.
I did not see that coming, bro. Not even going to lie to you.
Bro, I did not know Joy could feel that good in that moment. But it got worse because, again, there was this whole thing about, there was 0.5 seconds on the clock. Then they upped it to 1 second, and then they upped it to 2 seconds. And OKC, so it went back to Houston. They fouled. Robert Covington made one, missed one. They still had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And OKC brings it back. And, dude, they said, I saw a tweet like this, but the last minute took 16 minutes to actually conclude. That's how long this game drew out. That's why I texted you. It feels like this game's going to end tomorrow. But credit the Houston Rockets because they, out of like all 3 of those where they actually OKC had to inbound, they ended up, I think Russell Westbrook got a hand on it when they passed it, and Steven Adams, out of all people, I'm like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, it was.
But
I mean, I feel like it was like a last second, like because early when they ran that play and they called timeout, and then they kind of tweaked some things and ran it again. Chris Paul was open coming down towards the corner, and I thought he was gonna just pass it into Chris Paul real quick for like a little turnaround 2 point shot or I don't know whatever. But then he like missed on it, and I'm like, okay, well, who else is gonna get the ball in? Like, there's not that much time left on the clock, and I see Steven Adams running at him like this. I'm like, oh, please don't pass it to him, and he throws it in and I was like, yeah, okay, game's over. Knew
and
it.
you had a lot of people going, look, they had Steven Adams open down low. He had a wide open lane to the basket. They could have worked something out like that. But honestly, think about it. You're not going to go to Steven Adams in a game 7 to take the final shot. I don't care how clear as day it is. Like, that's just not going to happen. So, the Rockets pulled it out, and it was a real exciting ending to that game. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better game 7. Same with the Nuggets in Utah. I mean, that went down to the wire too.
Mm-hmm.
I know we didn't get to mention this when we were on them, but you had Murray and Mitchell going at it. Mitchell comes down the court, does a little spin move, and turns the ball over.
Yo, yes,
And when the Nuggets get it back, Jamal, I think, pushes it to like Torian Craig or something, and he misses a layup. So
bro.
the Jazz still have a chance to bring it back. And so they get it all the way down. Mike Conley takes the last shot, and it spins around in there and just gets out. So, I mean,
And you
they
know what
could
they were saying? Because Rudy Gobert got that rebound when he missed the layup. Rudy Gobert got the rebound, and they were like, because Donovan Mitchell was on the floor, he fell down, and so whenever he got the rebound, Donovan Mitchell didn't move. Like he was still there. He was like waving it, like, "Hey, chunk it down the court. I'm the only one down here."
yeah.
And he gave it to Mike Conley, who just had to put up a 3 pointer, a running 3 pointer. But that's just how it fell, man. I mean, if he would have made the shot, then we would be talking about how the Jazz are in playing against who are they playing? The
Clippers.
Clippers, yeah. So I
But
mean,
credit to the Nuggets, though. I mean, most people don't even they're missing this point, but they came back from 3-1, and we
mm-hmm.
haven't seen that since Golden State and Cleveland. So they did a really good job in that series just to close it out and to make something of it. But both of those series, man, you got to put those in like the Hall of Fame first round matchups of all time.
Oh,
I
for
feel
sure.
like,
You know what that
but
Rockets game felt like? Because we're talking about Scott Foster real quick. It felt like because I was talking about this with my friend Give. Shout out Give. He does other podcasts with me. Shout out Entertainment Exchange. But I was like, bro, that direct deposit just hit Scott's bank account. And while he's reffing, he looked at his phone. He was like, oh snap, I'm finna screw the Rockets out of another game. They done pay me big money, and I guarantee you, at the end of the game, someone on the Rocket staff, Daryl Morey, probably was like, "Hey, Scott, how's smooth 2 million sound in your bank account right now?" Slid him that money, looked at his direct deposit again. Oh snap, I got more money. All right, Chris Paul, you out of here, bro. That's how it felt to me. That
well,
direct deposit, bro.
I don't want to believe that because I want to believe the Rockets won it fair and square. So,
Shout out Scott
uh,
Foster.
yeah, but man, it's some exciting first rounds between those Clippers, Dallas, Nuggets, Utah, and Houston OKC. It was really exciting. But let's go ahead and move on to what we're currently in is the semi-conference finals. We got 8 teams remaining in the East. We got the Celtics, Toronto, Bucks, Heat, Houston Lakers, and Nuggets, and the Clippers. So let's get into that first one, Wayne. As of today, the Celtics and Toronto series is Celtics are up 2-1 on Toronto, only because OG Anunoby, the OG,
The OG.
was able to get off that shot yesterday to eclipse the Celtics for Game 3. If Toronto went down 3-0 in this series, it's kind of like, you know what, you're pretty much done. There's not a lot of hope here. Not a lot of teams come back down from 3-0, but they managed to get off that game, which I felt like really has given them at least a boost to make this series competitive. But what were your thoughts on that game from yesterday?
Quick question: there hasn't ever been a team that's come back from 3-0, right? Teams
So
have gone, they've came back and made it a game 7, but they haven't won it, right?
correct. So I was watching, and we'll get to the Bucks and Heat after this, but right after the game, I was watching the last 5 minutes right before we got on, and that was the stat they threw up was no team has ever came back down from 3-0 to win a series.
Okay. Just clarifying. I didn't watch much of that game yesterday. The what was it? The Raptors and Celtics. But if there's one thing I do know, and there's one thing I do love about watching this Celtics team versus this Raptors team, is that I feel like Kemba Walker, because I think if I remember correctly, Kemba Walker was on like a minutes kind of restriction during those first
Mhm.
like play-in games,
Yeah.
and right now he's not. Like they just said, "Hey, go do your thing." And so Kemba Walker, I feel like is making the most out of these minutes that he's getting. And it was crazy because during those first eight playing games, people were like, Kemba Walker, he doesn't look too good or whatever, blah blah blah. And I was like, look, the man's just getting ready, bro. Like you saw what Kawhi did when he, take games off for load management or whatever during the season when he was with the Raptors, and then in the playoffs just ran it. I don't think he took a game off, didn't take it. He just ran it, played as much as he could. And so with Kemba Walker, we're seeing kind of that same thing, kind of, where he's going out there getting, getting good looks, trying to get a feel for the game. And then once the playoffs hit, they were like, just run it, bro.
What's
And so I
funny
think,
though is that this is not new for him though. For those of us that have watched him in Charlotte, he was
yeah,
doing this to the max. It just wasn't on a competitive level. So you love to see him in this moment. Charlotte maybe made the playoffs like once or twice while he was there, but nowhere near the capacity of him being on the Celtics right now. So it's really
hmm
fun to watch him in this space right here.
oh, for sure. Yeah. And then, of course, Kyle Lowry. I don't understand Kyle Lowry. He's a weird character when he's on the floor because sometimes he'll step up and he'll play great and he'll be lighting it up from three.
Kyle
And
Lowry
then,
is the classic shoot you into a game or shoot you out of a game kind of player.
yeah, straight up. And then a guy like Van Fleet, now that guy right there, I'm not sure how he did in yesterday's game, but I admire Van Fleet just because this man was not talked about much at all. And then in that, when was it? It was when they won the championship, but he just like that's when he started kind of like getting that rep and getting that name for himself.
Right.
And then he just took this whole season by storm. Was like, look, my name is Fred Van Fleet. I play for the Toronto Raptors. Holla at me if you want to.
How
Throw that
come
bag my way.
how come he looks like he works at Foot Locker?
Bro, he probably did before he played in the NBA.
I don't know why he just looks like he works at Foot Locker.
I call him Discount Drake because he kind of looks like Drake. He plays for Toronto, so I guess it works.
Yeah. This game yesterday between the Celtics and Toronto. So that last minute, Wayne, I know you didn't get to catch most of it, but I caught on like the last 2 minutes. I hurried and turned it on, and Kemba Walker, you mentioned him. He made a great play down the stretch right before OG got the buzzer beater. He was just tooling with dudes. He
Hmm.
was in the pick and roll setting, getting to a spot, and he got caught up right at the top of the free throw line. I think he had like two or three dudes surrounding him, but they left Daniel Tice wide open right underneath the rim.
Hey,
So Kemba Walker just flung it to him right where he was, and Tice got an easy dunk to put them in the lead with zero point
hmm
0.5 seconds left. This is the same zero point 0.5 seconds that we had from like Houston OKC. But what the Celtics did, which I thought was interesting, was they brought Taco Fall out for this final possession to cover the inbound because you want somebody who's got great length. Talk about great length. You got a 7'5" dude on your team
yeah,
covering Kyle Lowry, who's inbounding. OG is going to get all the credit for the final shot and winning the game, but we should give a lot of credit to Kyle Lowry too, because you have to be a great point guard to see the floor, especially over a 7'5" dude. And he
hmm
literally, this was like the rainbow arc shot, not to the basket, but to a player. And he ended up finding OG in the corner, and Jaylen Brown closed out on him and made a good contest, but definitely it was a blown coverage that even Jaylen said, we missed that. But I'm glad that Toronto won because I didn't want to see this series go 3-0 towards the Celtics. I want this to be a competitive series.
yeah, and I still think it's gonna be competitive. Yeah, Toronto. Yeah, they went down 2-0 real quick, but they've shown that they're still that team even without Kawhi Leonard. So I definitely don't want to see them like I didn't want to see them get swept because I feel like that would have been like, oh my gosh, like what the heck happened? Are the Celtics really just that good? Like they just swept the reigning champs
They
that
are
easy.
that good.
Yeah. So I mean, I still think the Celtics are gonna win this series, but now I'm thinking, it might be a little closer than what people originally thought after them going down 2-0. So
Yeah, I think this might be a 7-game series. I wouldn't have said that obviously if they went down 3-0, but given that the nature of how they won and the momentum shift now, I think we might see this go to 7 games. But I am going to give it to the Celtics just because I think they have more star power and more scoring power to kind of push you over the edge.
yes, sir.
All right, let's talk about a team that is not in a good position right now, especially as of like an hour ago. I just caught the last 5 minutes of the Bucks Heat game, and the Bucks, Wayne, the Bucks, the best team according to the whole season, up against the Heat, are down 3-0 right now.
It's not looking good.
This is not looking good at all. And listen, I'm not going to act like I've watched every single game in detail, but just watching those last 5 minutes, it just seems, look, the Heat are like junkyard dogs. Like they don't care who's out there. They don't care what the media is saying. They are just gonna go off hustle and energy and dudes that just love to scrap. Especially when you got a leader, your franchise leader, and Jimmy Butler, who is a scrappy player. Not every star player is a scrappy player, but he is.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I was hearing in the game, it sounded like everybody wanted Giannis, the defensive player of the year, to start guarding Jimmy in the series. And in the fourth quarter, that finally happened. But Jimmy took over and started getting to the line. I think he was like 13 of 14 from the free throw line tonight with like 28 points. And he really has shown, I don't know what it is. This has been a weird season for Jimmy Butler too, because he's been a player who can be just fine with scoring 10 points, but he can also be a guy in the playoffs who says, I'm taking this team on my back. Let me get you a 30 piece or a 40 piece.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's up with the Bucks, but they just don't look like they're there. They certainly don't look like they have the competitive edge or the energy edge compared to the Heat. But I don't have a lot of hope for the Bucks in this, especially just like we're saying, not a lot of teams come down from 3-0.
Yeah, and I saw like a little bit of the last minute or so of that game before I came up here to record. And same thing, like I don't even think I mean Giannis is gonna go out and get his, but in those clutch moments, I don't think Giannis is I don't think Giannis is that go-to guy right now. Because of course you give Giannis the ball in a clutch moment, they're gonna crowd him because they're like, okay, he's probably gonna try and go in and spin dunk on somebody's head. Of course. And so in those moments, it's easy to just key in on Giannis. And I saw it right before I came up here. I didn't catch like the very end, but I saw Giannis. They inbounded the ball to him, and he ran down the court. And I mean, there's still like maybe 40 something seconds left in the game, and they're down 6. And he goes in, gets past one guy, spins in the paint, and puts up a layup and misses it. And
Misses
not
the
like
whole
a
thing. I saw that too.
Yeah, and not like a good miss. Like it was a miss. Like he just threw it off the backboard, hit the front of the rim, and just went off. And I was sitting there thinking in that moment, like the Giannis that we would like to see or that we know he's capable of would have spun in there and dunked that thing like nobody's business, even in a clutch moment, because that's the sure thing for him. For him, a layup isn't really the sure thing, especially with him moving that fast. A layup is not the sure thing. I've seen him miss a lot of easy buckets in this series alone.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I would have liked for him to just get the sure bucket, which we know right now for him is just jumping up and putting it in the hoop. But
Right.
he clanked it off the backboard, and then the Miami Heat got it, and they just kind of like wasted some more time. So I don't know, man. They're gonna have to figure something out. And they have the power to be the first team in history to come back from 3-0 and completely win, like just run 4 games in a row and beat the Heat. But right now, the
It
Heat are
don't look
playing with
good
that
at
dog in them.
all. It don't look good at all.
And
That's
Jimmy Butler is getting some respect on his name right now. He's
the
getting a lot of respect.
here's the difference though, right? Like between there's 2 star players between these two teams. One star player, you mentioned it, he can get his own, but he's kind of being neutralized a little bit. I mean, because they know how to stop him. And here's the thing. Giannis is not very good from the free throw line either. I mean, this guy could go 6 for 12, and those 6 that he missed mattered down the stretch. While you
Hmm.
got a dude in Jimmy Butler who's got a respectable shot, and he's made like 99% of his free throws. To me, that's a big difference and something that is missing in Giannis's game, honestly.
Yeah, Giannis gonna have to get better with that shot. I mean, he still looks really awkward shooting the ball. Period. Anyway, even from like three or wherever. So he's gonna have to get a more consistent jumper. And I feel like once he gets that down, he can go back to being that lethal guy on that team, or wherever he ends up. He might leave. We don't know. Like he might
That
go somewhere else.
that might be a whole separate podcast, but
Uh huh.
Richard Jefferson, I don't know if you saw this, Wayne, but Richard Jefferson tweeted, and I want you to tell me if there's any truth to this, but he basically said, hey, he tweeted and he said, I'm just going to say this, but I'm pretty sure uh, Giannis is more of a Pippen to a Jordan. Like he's not that dude. Like he's more that secondary role. Is there any truth to that? Because I have some thoughts on it.
Um. Hmm. You know what? I guess there's a little bit of truth, like just slightly, because Giannis, I don't we haven't seen Giannis play with someone who could be considered his Jordan or his Batman and he be Robin.
Right.
So I don't really know what that would look like because Giannis is pretty much establishing himself as a Batman type player, and then he has a bunch of like, you know, Robins or Nightwings running around on the team with him, and so he hasn't really had that person that he can call his partner in crime, pretty much. So I don't even know if, like, even if Giannis were to find that person, who would be who, or who would defer to who, So I don't know.
I can see what he's saying, but I also think you get look at like Shaq and Kobe. Like when Kobe was younger, Shaq was the dude. It wasn't Kobe at that time. It was Shaq. He was dominant, but they wouldn't have won the 3 championships without the other person, right?
Hmm.
And so I think it's just a matter of, like you're saying, who's actually around you to make it happen. I think Giannis can still be the Jordan, right? He doesn't have to be the Pippen, but we got to go, okay, if he's the Jordan, who would actually be the Pippen? Because there's no one really around him. I'm not even going to throw Chris Middleton, who is an all-star, to say like he's the Pippen. Like that's not your Pippen right there. Like
Hmm.
he's your third. He's not your second. And I think they need to. I mean, I've heard Chris Paul tossed around for a trade possibly to the Bucks, but like even in that, I feel like you need someone younger. I feel like you need a bigger splash than that. Like when I think about a secondary dude, I think about like, man, imagine Giannis in the pick and roll with someone, like a Jamal Murray, like a Luka Doncic. I've heard Giannis tossed around in Mavs trade talk. Like imagine Giannis with the Mavs. Like, but I, I
That'd be
don't, th-
lethal.
I don't think he's a. I want to label him as a Pippen when he's only like age 24 or 25. Like he's got a long way to go, but yeah, just to kind of bring it back. Like I don't think the Bucks have any chance to come back in the series. They might win a game. They might take this to 5 games at the most, but I think they are done in this series. And the Heat are a force to be reckoned with. Any team should be scared to play them.
Imagine Giannis with someone like Trey Young. I feel like it wouldn't that they still need some more pieces around, but I feel like them, especially with, I mean, they already got like Clint Capella out there too, but especially with them being able to, because Giannis can score in a plethora of ways, Trey Young can score in a ridiculous amount of ways. A dude nutmegs just about everybody he sees. It doesn't matter. Um, but just imagine having
Yeah.
like Trey Young having a weapon like Giannis to be able to, you know, I don't know. That's just something to think about. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but I just thought about it.
And we talk about pick and roll settings with Giannis, but like he doesn't even really do that now, right? Like you're not using him as the screener and the roller for the most part. And we talk about Shaq and Kobe too. Like the post up game for the most part is gone. Like that's not there. And Giannis really flourishes in transition. And so I think he's really just missing the half court part of his game. Like, he's lethal in full court, but like he's missing something in that half court setting. And maybe he just needs to take a long look in the mirror this offseason and figure out what it's got to be. I'm not discounting him to be a great player. I'm just saying there's more to him that needs to be unlocked if he wants to see some championships come in his career. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's move on. Houston Lakers. This is going on right now. I don't even know the score. Do you know the score of this game right now?
No, but I
Because
can pull
I
it up
might
for
go
you.
in panic mode if I look right now. But okay, here's what we got. Lakers
Oh,
55, Rockets 63 halftime. Hello. Okay.
oh, hold up.
All
Whoa.
right. All right. So my brother tweeted, and I quoted his tweet and said, "Wow." He said Rockets in 5. I don't know about that. Can you just give me real quickly your who's winning this series and in how many games?
I think what I said a while ago was because I didn't have the Rockets coming out of the first round, but they did. So now this is a whole shakeup for me. But I'm gonna say Lakers in 6, and I only say that because number one, I just can't go against LeBron James right now because I don't think there's anybody on that team on the Rockets team that can stop LeBron James. Only LeBron James can stop LeBron James, straight up. And same thing with, Anthony Davis. Now, I have seen in the past that first of all, the Rockets are like 2-0 against the Lakers before the bubble, right? I think, or total during the season, something like
Since
that.
since they went to small ball, they've beat them twice.
Okay, so obviously it works, and I think the area that I've seen it work the most is when Anthony Davis has the ball, because I don't know what it is, but Anthony Davis gets the ball, and PJ freaking Tucker is there, like ready to accept the challenge, and so I haven't watched any of the game because we've been recording. But if I'm a betting man, I'm assuming right now that Anthony Davis he has 10 points right now at halftime, probably because PJ Tucker has been kind of giving him that work a little bit. So we'll see what happens in the second half. But
Yeah, and
the
it's
Rockets,
probably a team effort on Anthony Davis too. I mean, the way the Rockets play defense, they have to have a team effort on that end.
yeah, and this goes back to like the Rockets. I mean, not the Rockets, the Lakers just getting a bunch of guys who they thought were gonna produce and then kind of not doing anything. Danny Green, bro, where you at, dog? Because when they double team, LeBron, or they double team AD, somebody's open, and more than likely it's gonna be Danny Green. It's gonna be, I don't know, Kentavious Caldwell Pope or Kyle Kuzma or something like that. Somebody's got to step up and make some shots. And we thought that was gonna be Danny Green. Like even in the first game of the season, Danny Green was lighting it up from three, and we're like, oh yeah, this is what the Lakers needed, man. They needed someone who can just spot up and shoot whenever somebody else was double teamed. And then he went silent.
Right.
So they're gonna need those guys to step up. But the Rockets, like, people think I'm a Rockets hater. I'm not a Rockets hater. I love the Rockets. It's just I Spurs got my heart, but the Rockets, this small ball lineup is looking not too bad. They
Yeah.
kind of struggled against the Thunder, but right now they're looking fine. So we'll see what happens. But I still got Lakers in 6.
All right. Two things for this. Just number one, the Lakers faced the Blazers in the first round. The Blazers won the first game, and everybody was freaking out. And then they came back and beat them 4 times in a row. So even if the Lakers lose tonight, I think they're a championship team who's going to make really good adjustments. And you got LeBron James on there,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't freak out from the first game. I think I'm going to side with you though on the fact that this is probably going to go 6 games, and I think it's going to go to the Lakers as well. I think we agree on that. I would just say, for the Rockets, it's a math game, right? So like 3 is better than 2. That's why you see them shooting 40 plus threes a game. And I've mentioned this in the past before though, Wayne. The Rockets are okay if you do post ups all the time. If you got a great big down there, they're going to let you shoot a 2 because in their mind, a two is less than a 3. And given
Mm-hmm.
that the amount of threes that they shoot, if they're hitting, then it's a successful thing. But I think the key to this series for the Rockets, if they want to win, I believe is just that willingness to make adjustment if the 3 is not following. So if you're James Harden and it's not working, make some drives to the basket, make offense happen, rather than just waiting for some sort of three to fall in the basket.
Yes, sir.
All right, lastly, Nuggets and Clippers. The Clippers took a 1-0 lead last night, and they pretty much cleaned the floor with the Nuggets. And listen, the Nuggets literally just got off a 7-game series with the Jazz, so they're probably super tired. And Wayne, they get if you finish a series early, obviously you get that time off, but if you go 7 games or just during the series, it's only 1 day off in between each game. As
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like the real playoffs, pre-bubble or COVID or anything, you had the travel time and then you maybe had 2 or 3 days off possibly. But these dudes, they don't get really any rest time other than the 1 day in between.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of crazy to me because, like you said, they came off a 7-game series. They got to be tired. They got to be dog tired, man. And then I think it was Jamal Murray that was like, "Bro, we only get 1 day in between games, bro. Still." But
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. I would at least give him 2 days to kind of. I mean, you're in Disney. Like, go let them chill by the pool for 2 days. Let them have
yeah.
some fun. Let them do what they got to do. Get ready. You don't give them 1 day. That's
I mean, it's
that's
good for us because we don't have to wait, but it's
true.
bad for them. I'm gonna give the Clippers this series in 5 games. I really don't think the Nuggets stand a chance. The series against the Jazz was exciting because they all matched up really well. I don't
Hmm.
think the Nuggets stand any chance, especially with all the defenders that the Clippers have. They're gonna neutralize Murray. And they did last night. And if I gave a key to the Rockets. I'm going to give a key for the Nuggets. If they want to make it competitive, you have to get Jokic going. I feel like he has to be your guy in the series because guard play, you're going to get outplayed all day. You're going to have Kawhi and Pandemic P might become playoff P. I don't know. But I really think in order for them to be dominant, Jokic needs to be a facilitator and a scorer in the series. And he's been that sometimes and sometimes not. So I give them 5 games. What you got for them?
We need to see Big Honey back, bro. We need Big Honey.
Does
Right
he
now,
need to
he's not
get?
looking.
Does he need to gain like 15 more pounds or something?
He might have to, man. He might need that quarantine 15. But yeah, I got the Clippers, like you said, in 5. I mean, yeah, they're tired. The only thing that you could say about the Nuggets, as far as like um how this series should go, is the fact that yes, they came off of a 7-game series, but even in that 7-game series, it was play, rest a day, play, rest a day, and they went 7. And so they took a little bit, but as far as consistency's sake goes, like they've been playing, they should be used to it by now. And the
Right.
Clippers have been chilling.
And I
They've
would
been
I would I would usually give that that's a really good point, but I just think they don't match up well at all. That I just even with the momentum versus the rest, like I still just think the Clippers are just going to wipe the floor with them.
yeah. So I give them 5 games, 4-1 Clippers, and then we'll see what happens from there, man.
All right, we got a lot to look forward to, and it is time for us to close this because I got to catch the second half. Actually, I'm very superstitious, so maybe I shouldn't watch it so that the Rockets keep doing good. I'm not sure
I
which
mean,
one
they're
I got
up
to
8,
do.
so maybe if you don't watch, they'll win by 16. We'll see.
Right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget to give us that 5-star rating and review if you're listening to us through iTunes. And you can also find us on Spotify, YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you give us that thumbs up, like and subscribe, and tell a friend. Tell any of your family members, your teacher, your babysitter. God, I hope we don't have anybody young enough to be listening to this that needs a babysitter. But just tell anybody you know. We'd really appreciate the support. Wayne, any sign off words?
Sign off words, some wise words from Wayne Webb.
We need the wisdom.
We need the wisdom. Let me see. Let me reach into my bag of wisdom right here. I don't know, man. This year's been kind of crazy. Maybe it's time for you to sit back, relax, maybe open up a little drink with the boys or the girls. You know, no, I mean not alcohol. I'm just saying I'm not promoting alcohol out here, but I'm just saying,
This
do
episode is
you
sponsored by Michelob Ultra.
for all your drinking needs. Go to Michelob for your. I'm just kidding. Nah, but just enjoy time with the people you love, bro. And even with all the basketball going on, if you're not even a basketball fan, put the game on. It doesn't matter. Watch something, but just chill with the people that you love and enjoy. And especially with Labor Day weekend, don't go crazy because there's still a pandemic going on. But make sure everyone takes the sanitary measures, hand sanitizer, mask, all that good stuff, and then just enjoy the camaraderie, man. Come on now, got a 3-day weekend going on. Let's go.
Hey, you heard it here first from the man himself, the one who contains so much wisdom, Mr. Wayne Webb. Appreciate you joining me for this episode of Wayne, and we will be tuning in with you guys very soon. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Adios.